All right, let's just get right into it. Welcome to Inside the Numbers with the People's Pundit. I'm your host, Rich Barris, the People's Pundit. Don't forget to like the videos if you like them and to share them far and wide. Of course, the best place to follow us is always on Locals, but do us a favor and go around if you have not already and follow on X at Peoples_Pundit and on Gram at Peoples_Pundit. All right, look, today is especially if you're a Trump supporter, today's a bit of a depressing show. I mean, it's going to be a little bit, but the information you get, you should use and to course correct yourselves before it's too late. I spent probably 3 hours on a stream last night, which was pretty cool, but that was a lot of what we talked about was exactly that. Over the last year, I've been firing flares in the air, worried about, I guess, this month, concerned that this month would come, which is inevitable. Political betrayals come with very, very heavy costs. All right. In 2018, after a 7-year campaign promise to repeal and replace Obamacare, Republicans failed to do that. And in doing so, they depressed part of their base. They turned off others that were, persuadable, and they left them susceptible to the Democratic argument that Republicans were going to take away protections for pre-existing conditions. The only way to counter that narrative would have been for them to keep their promise and to pass the repeal and replace of Obamacare, because then it's a narrative against reality, right? And as we have said multiple times here, which is from Mark Penn, reality always wins, right? The only way they could have done that is to pass it, because then Americans would have been living with the reality that they still had protections for pre-existing conditions. I'm not going to get into it. It was a great op-ed. We did a show on it at the time, but it was important. This congressman wrote an op-ed in Minnesota saying there was nothing we could do. It's the 2nd district, 3rd district, 1st district, whatever. We were all dealing with this false hypothetical that was very potent, very powerful, that we were taking away people's protections for pre-existing conditions. And because too many rhinos in Congress, too many fake MAGAs, too many fake people, period, on the Republican side, breaking that promise cost us the House. There were some peripheral seats for sure. Dana Rohrabacher in Orange County is a great example, because I worked on that campaign, tried to save Dana. Michael Bloomberg put millions of dollars behind the idea that Trump was a Russian agent. And it wasn't so much that he convinced a bunch of people, but he did some, mostly Republican women, not a ton of them, but enough to get teen crossover support. And that was enough. But it was more than that. It was that he depressed them. And Dana Rohrabacher was missing tens of thousands of Republican women in the electorate who could have come out and helped get him over the top against Harley Ruda. Harley would eventually go on to lose anyway, but in that Democratic sweep moment, that's what the reality was. All right. At that time, when it happened, I said the House was gone. The Republican majority would be gone. At that time, they had a huge, in modern terms, that a fairly big majority. Now, maybe not huge, but a big majority in the House. And it seemed crazy to people that they would ever lose the House because they had so much buffer room. And it was well thought at that moment. And there was a structural advantage in the congressional districting maps that favored Republicans, and that they had taken back seats from 2010 to 2014 and then again in 16. The Democrats won in an overly Democratic mood in 2008 that they really had no business winning. So people just never thought that they would be able to take those seats back. And in reality, what happened? In reality, they got the floor wiped with them. They lost 30 seats, and Kentucky 5, places like that, were very close, and Republicans almost lost that. In 2018, the largest lead we had for Democrats was a little over a 6-point lead, 6.4. They won by about 8 points. We were only about 1.6 off. All right. And we only were because there were Trump supporters from 16 who were pivotal to Donald Trump winning and beating Hillary Clinton, especially in certain parts of the country, key parts like the Midwest, who were telling us they were going to come out and vote. And in fact, they did not. Right. So the slight understatement in Democratic support that we put out in our final generic ballot poll was entirely due to that. Over the years, how a pollster hones their likely voter model is everything. It is not that difficult to poll the public and poll them on preference, right? 2024 was really easy election to poll. There was no excuse for anyone who had Kamala Harris winning that election. She was never ahead. Donald Trump was always the favorite, and he went on to win pretty easily, including the popular vote, which was something a Republican had not done for 20 years. 20 years. All right. So, fast forward now, and this is the difference before we get into the polling, which I want to show you. Aside from the fact that we are Big Data Poll is the most accurate poll in the country. Like that, I'm not going to play this game. Yes, there are a lot of other people who do some good work. Not a lot. There are a handful of people, a few people, who either have done good work and aren't doing good work now, or we at least have to recognize that they did. And some even less number of people who are still trying to do the best that they can in an honest fashion. I can't help but to notice how small that pool of pollsters has gotten. Even the group of us who have polled in the Trump era, almost all of us have lost our way. And it's really sad because I wondered what would happen when this day would come. Would they be able to hold strong? It was easy to be a critic of left-wing pollsters. Of course, I created the polling critic industry. That's literally a creation of the People's Pundit. It didn't exist until I came on the scene. And if it wasn't for me in 2025, and I'm going to just start, you guys will notice I will openly start airing people's shit a lot more now, because now we're getting in, it's May 1st. I told people this would happen. They didn't want to listen. A bunch of other people wanted PAC money, so they sold their soul. That's all there is to it. If it wasn't for me in 2025, you wouldn't even have seen, and they weren't that accurate, but look at New Jersey. One pollster gave at least some indication that race was not that close anymore. And that was Mark Mitchell. Where's Mark right now? Right. Everybody else who was polling in Virginia was saved because I called them and told them that I was polling it privately for a client and that Abigail Spanberger had taken a more than 10-point lead about 9 days out before the election. And I told them that, or maybe it was even more, because I think it was October 17th or something like that. And I told them they had to go back into the field because you're going to humiliate our organization, which is the National Association of Independent Pollsters. So drop this Spanberger plus 2 and 3 and 4 bullshit and go out into the field and field the poll correctly, because Republicans are not even close to winning this election. So the only reason some, and maybe one or two of those folks, it was two, went back into the field is because I told them to. Because I told them what our polling, I showed them what our polling looked like. And they made the correct decision, which I wasn't really giving them a choice. I'm like, if you want to stay in the organization, you're going to go back out in the field. Because we're all coming together now as the independent polling group. You're not going to look like you're just Trump's hacks, like you're not doing it. Or you'll be thrown from the organization. It's that simple. So I really didn't give them a choice. And that's the only reason why 2 of those polls went back into the field, repolled, and got a more accurate reflection of the race. So now we're left with very, very few. And obviously, if you go to Real Clear Politics right now, you could see that there's basically only, at this point, 1, 2 pollsters who are still, outside of me, who are still doing a wholly honest job. You have 2 groups of pollsters right now. And before I get into the data, I really have to say this. One is the group that is the target of my criticisms for the last decade under the Trump era. The left-wing pollsters who are all in the club, who only Harry Enton cites, right? The New York Times, they put the little asterisks. They're the ones who are all high quality, who meet the standard of the New York Times. And they suck. And we all know they suck. They have polled terribly in the Trump era. Marist, Quinnipiac, YouGov, Morning Consult, Reuters, even Fox News. The Wall Street Journal has been decent. You know the deal. ABC basically sat Gary Langer on the bench. They benched Gary Langer because going into 2024, he actually was polling Trump somewhat correctly. They benched him and they brought in the YouGov panel. So now everybody's consolidated their data source, and that's why a lot of these polls look like they're in a consensus. They cannot afford another election after I molly stomped, after I, what is it? Mollywopped? After I mollywop them again for like the fourth election cycle in a row, they could not afford to understate Republican vote share again. Everyone realizes this is an incredibly strong Democratic environment, so they're going to take the opportunity to do something. And again, this is one group of pollsters, and that's the media legacy, all of the traditionals, you know the deal, the universities. They're going to largely understate Democratic support. Why? To get their credibility back. So that come 2028, when we get back into the presidential cycle, they can pretend that they did a decent job. You should know this because they did this in 2018, with the exception of some of the Senate polls and gubernatorial polls that were really, really bad. And then they used how most of them understated support in the generic ballot, this one gauge, this one measure, to pretend that going into 24, actually going into 20, they would do a good job. And they did it again in 22. And, you know, the New York Times wrote an article trashing all of the independent right-wing guys, which I got roped into, although they did correct it. There has been a correction to that story because I never polled Michigan. That was not me. That was another obvious, well-known, alternative pollster. And they will do this again because this is the model they have been following. Learn pattern recognition. Blow 28 too. But the point is, they need to do it in order to get their credibility back before the presidential election. So if they put up a Democrat +5 generic ballot, which will get wider as we get going in to closer to the election. But if they get a D +5, a D +6, even a D +8, and Democrats wind up winning by a margin that we have this month, and I pray to God they don't, but if they do, they'll be able to say, we accurately predicted the winner, but we actually understated Democratic support. So we're going to have to go, and they'll make, and I know the excuse they'll use, the realignment. Higher educated, higher turnout, higher propensity voters. We overstated Republican voters because they are, and it's not our fault they didn't turn out. This is the nature of the realignment. But come the presidential election, don't worry, we got it down. But anyway, if they poll a 5, 6, 8 point margin and Democrats go on, win by 11, they'll do that. And they'll claim that they adjusted and all is well. And they will go into 28 pretending like, again, they are the gold standard. This is what they have been doing. And then unfortunately, you have a second group of polls. Oh, by the way, Morning Consult is a great example of this. And you guys just don't know this because you're not in the industry. But Morning Consult started as an investor-funded organization. And they built up their own panel over time after using the panel we use. They were getting responses from our people, right? And then they built up over time, getting rounds and rounds. I think they had 3 rounds of investments. They're now valued at somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 billion or $2 billion. It's a lot. 1.2, maybe something. It's a lot. Morning Consult plans to go public. They're going through the motions right now. Again, this is nothing you would know about. But they're about third round. I'd have to look at PitchBook. You can, if you know what PitchBook is, you can go check it out. You'll see what I'm talking about. And then now in the process of taking the company public with the new AI and their built-in panel and everything. They've been largely responsible for giving some of the biggest corporations in America, woke corporations, some really bad branding advice. So you saw them make like ridiculous decisions that cost them tons of money. So if Anheuser-Busch was getting better information about who their customer base is, they would never have done what they did, right? If Delta Airlines was getting better information, if Cracker Barrel was getting better information, if Elon Musk over at Tesla, who's also a client, was getting better information, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And by the way, there's also a lot of healthcare clients. So when you see COVID data, you think that's not a conflict of interest? Anyway, they can't afford to again understate Republican support. So Morning Consult is putting out right now what is largely a registered voter sample of everybody that is still way too Republican. It's a fact. I see it. I know what they're doing. I can tell. It's very simple. They would rather put out a D +3 to 5 generic ballot, and hell, if Democrats win by 11, whatever. That's so much easier to explain. In fact, it's good for them because they can say, look, we made changes. We no longer overstate Republican support. We understate it, so your brand is safe with us. Let's go public. Let's get this IPO done, and let's rake in the money. That's what they're doing. And then you have the second group, which is disgusting to me. The second group of pollsters rose to prominence side by side with me, although I was a much more vocal person. But we were all alternative polls, right? They got labeled, as my buddy at RCP says, got thrown into the conservative ghetto together. That's what the media did to us. They threw us into the conservative ghetto. Call us right-wing pollsters, or the New York Times low quality, which is hilarious. All they mean by low quality is that we don't overcharge our clients for live caller interviews, because live caller is no longer the gold standard. If you want live caller, we do it all the time. We just don't make it the lion's share of our sampling. We're a mixed mode survey because different groups respond to different collection modes at different rates. Oh my God, you blasphemed against the principles of randomization. I did, in fact, do that. We all don't have landlines. We all don't have cell phones, or just one mode that everyone can be reached by. And we all have different behavior markers. So in any event, that's what they mean. They call us that. And unfortunately for them, these low quality pollsters performed a lot better than their high quality gold standards. Several big ones aren't even in existence today. The entire website, 538, is now defunct because of the People's Pundit, Rich Barris. You're welcome. Ann Seltzer is ruined because of the People's Pundit, Rich Barris. You're welcome. Mark Murray over at Monmouth had to close his doors because after a humiliating misfire in his own home state in 2021, he went on to just badly poll the next two election cycles. And now the doors post-2024 of the Monmouth University polling have been shuttered. That I didn't do. But I did provide alternatives to them. And that's the big takeaway here. Starting with me, a group of us came together and provided an alternative that forced them to be more transparent, that forced them to try to be more accurate. And these guys, this is the most disturbing part about this, because it is important, it is imperative for the survival of the industry. We all know that every poll has views. It is imperative for the survival of the industry for those pollsters to not allow their views to distort their product, to pervert their data. There's a lot of money being thrown around. It is not at all uncommon for a pollster to get a phone call from people who run and disperse all of that PAC money and say, you know what, if you were a little bit more generous to us, we consider giving you 5 states for Senate races to poll throughout the cycle at $40,000 a pop or $25,000 a pop. We consider giving you that. We consider giving you a national this or a national that. You know, we're talking hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. And unfortunately, many of these other people just couldn't resist it. So that's where we're at. So look, you can't just criticize one side when one side does something wrong. I mean, I guess you can, but that's a real grifter, Mr. YouTube commenter. That's a real grifter. A real grifter would lie to you and tell you what you want to hear so I can take your super chat money. That's what a grifter does. A truth teller plays the long game, as I have been doing for years. And I eat the shit because everybody seeks affirmation biases and everyone is stuck in a confirmation bias, right? Their framing biases are running on high. That's the easy way to get clicks. That's the easy way to get views. That's the easy way to sell to advertisers your viewership, to get your Snapchat revenue or whatever, it is. That's the easy path. The harder path is to be the truth teller who over time people realize will not be swayed depending on who's in office. You think George Gallup didn't have a viewpoint? Of course he did. The organization he built, of course, and many different viewpoints of people who wound up working there. Did it decidedly end up leaning left as most other polling outfits did? Yes. In the beginning, it started out rather conservative. But did Gallup allow their views all of those years to pervert their tracking poll? With the exception of in the 40s, Truman, Dewey, they hadn't misfired on a single presidential race until they did with Barack Obama versus Mitt Romney, which wasn't even that bad of a misfire. They had Romney up by 1 point in the popular vote. They overstated the white share of the vote. And about 3.5 million working class whites in the Midwest, particularly concentrated in the upper Midwest, didn't show up to vote. That's all. It wasn't that bad of a misfire. Truman Dewey was pretty bad, but that was not that bad of a misfire. They ended horse race polling after they did that. But in between, Democratic presidents came and went. Republican presidents came and went. And Gallup did not allow their own views to taint their product. And that is the philosophy we have over here. That is the philosophy the People's Pundit is trying to keep alive. Of course, I supported Donald Trump. Of course, I want to see Donald Trump succeed. Democrats are dangerous. As much as I criticize Trump for some of the just downright dirty and corrupt stuff I'm seeing this administration that I did not see in the first administration, he still hasn't shown a capacity or even a willingness or like a desire to use police power in a way that terrifies me, to go after his enemies, to silence people in mass. Has he allowed the Israel lobby to run amok? Has he hurt the First Amendment, and his administration, his Justice Department hurt the First Amendment on college campuses and in newsrooms? Yes, they have. And it makes me sick because I don't give a damn if someone wants to criticize the state of Israel. They deserve to be criticized. They're genocidal. That's my view. But he hasn't been throwing people en masse in jail. Indicting James Comey over his seashell comment and post and other things. James Comey deserves to spend the rest of his days locked in a dark hole where nobody can come and visit him. He's a piece of shit. But Trump isn't rounding up his political enemies the way that Joe Biden did, the way that Democrats did. Precisely why it's important to stay honest and not grease your own stick or gaslight yourself. If you would have listened and course corrected when I told you to, you wouldn't be in this problem. Wasted trips to DC, wasted meetings. Well, come up here, I really need to talk to you. For nothing, because you cave to these people all the time anyway. If you would have listened at that time, I wouldn't have to do this show today. Let's do it. I can't stress enough how bad the graphic I'm about to show you is. What it means. So when you go to the press release and you look at Donald Trump's favorability ratings, approval rating, all of this stuff going down the line, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You can't quite see what's causing it. So you're not getting the full grasp. Now, don't get me wrong. It looks terrible. If we put his approval rating up on the screen right now, and I need to start to learn how to overlay myself. I like the side-by-side, but when I go to put them up on shorts on like GTalk or Instagram, it looks like crap. So I need to learn how to do this real quick. This. That's better. And if you're watching on a phone right now, upright, you know what I'm talking about. See, you can see me now. If I go like this, you can't really see me that well. All right. So anyway, you can't see the product either. This is Donald Trump's approval rating. 21.7% strongly approve of the job Donald Trump is doing. His base has shrunk dramatically. 45% strongly disapprove. Overall, Donald Trump was 0.2 percentage point this benchmark poll from falling into the 30s. And if you're a Locals supporter, and watcher of, our road rages and other stuff that I'll do in between the shows, you know damn well he was in the 30s a couple of times in the last couple of weeks. It was a bit of luck that he had one day where it pulled him up somewhat and it dragged him back to 39.6%. Folks, he was 0.2 of a percentage point from falling into the 30s. If we go by party, I want to show you something. Republican approval popped because it's a rally around the flag effect. After he started the Iran war, Republican approval, strong approval, had fallen below 50%, and it was there for a while. Even though his approval rating took a hit overall during the Iran war, which is unpopular, nobody wanted it. He didn't sell it. It's the biggest finger in the face of anybody's base that I've ever seen a president do. Thumb in the eye, whatever, analogy you want to use. And despite that, what we did see was the share of Republicans shrink. It was not a response bias. We will show you where they went in a second. It's not that they're not talking. They're not calling themselves Republicans anymore. That's a little bit of a tip to some of my polling friends out there who keep asking me, how are you reaching these Republicans? I can't reach them. Little tip, you are reaching them. They're telling you they're independents. Spend a little bit more money, make your product a little bit higher quality, and data append to the voter file, and you will see that those are Republicans who don't want to admit it anymore because they're off the train. Republican strong approval. Regardless, we saw the base shrink, the party shrink, but strong approval actually went up. And I explained this and tried to tell you, purification through subtraction. You're going to see what appears to be a stronger coalesced base. It's an illusion. The base is shrinking. The coalition is shrinking. It's breaking apart. And those who are left are the most stalwart supporters. But even among them, as time goes on, as this continues, as you continue to go down a road that even they don't want you to go down, this is what you get. You'll end up with a temporary consolidation behind a coalition, which will then lead to a breakup of that smaller coalition. This is textbook disaffection. Now we are below again. We are below 50% strong approve, which is a sign that you could expect some of those somewhat approves to begin to move into somewhat disapprove. And then this is why we're continuing to track that question with independents to see whether or not they're previous MAGA, previous America First, because we will see them rise. 79.4% approval sucks. 20% of the Republican sample disapproves of Donald Trump. The reason he didn't fall into the 30s and stay there, that one day really helped him, like I said, but the reason he didn't is because miraculously we saw a slight uptick in Democratic approval, and that kept him from falling into the 30s. And where do you see it? If we go to region, division would even be better, by the way. But if we go into region, you can see that he ticked up a little bit in the Northeast from the low 30s to the high 30s, and that saved him because he actually fell in the South and the Midwest even more. Actually, Midwest was 57% disapproval. Yeah, 57. If you go by division, you can see that there is a significant collapse in the Mid-Atlantic, which held, but New England actually popped up a little bit. It's incredible. It's 5% of the damn sample, but it popping up certainly helped. But the Mid-Atlantic staying at around 40%, the low 40s, when I believe it was 37 or 38, the last benchmark poll, that helped him. And that's how he stayed out of the 30s. And that's a broader view. It's a broader view. But looking at this again, I mean, it doesn't, Rich, 40% approve, 50%, 57% disapprove. It's not really terrible. I'm going to show you where it's coming from in a second. It is terrible. Okay. These are independents who previously identified as MAGA. These are independents who did not. All right. So if they say they're independent, of course, we'll always ask them the independent identification question, which is which one do you lean more to? Or do you really lean Democratic? Do you lean Republican? Equally aligned or share little in common with either? Share little in common with either was a very crucial group to Donald Trump winning the election. All right. Like a Joe Rogan voter, right? Peterson voter kind of thing, like that kind of person. Very, very crucial. And he's being killed with them now. It's awful. But for months now, after this identification question, we started asking people whether they previously identified as America First or MAGA. And anywhere ranging between 12 and 20% a given week will say yes. That percentage isn't even as important. And if you go to Big Data Poll, I'll show you in a second, you'll see that independents are actually trending up. Independent identification is trending up, and Republicans, they stabilize now for the time being, but they trended down all the way from 40% to 33% over Trump's term. Accelerating greatly after Trump bombed Iran last year, which I told you not to do. That's coincidentally the month that Republicans lost their lead on the generic ballot, and they have never gotten it back. And Republicans are going to have an issue because even among some of these working class non-college voters who still are sticking with Trump, they're not voting Republican. I'll show you that in a second. And that was always a key argument I began to make on election night 2024. Celebrate, you deserve it. But hear me and hear me clear and hear me now. These voters are Trump's voters. They do not superimpose onto Republicans. What you need to do from this point forward is convince them that the Republican Party is going to be more like Trump, not the other way around. That's the exact opposite of what you needed to do. That's the worst thing you could have done. We needed Mark Levin to, if not wholly disappear, because his brand hurts, but at least pretend to be America first, not Israel first, not neocon first. What we didn't need was Donald Trump to become more like Mark Levin. So what did you expect? They gave this man a lot of grace. Voters gave him an enormous amount of grace. It's been the better part of a year, folks, since they've been telling him, tell Bibi to go home, stop talking about Iran and every effing foreign country, and do what you were elected to do. Take care of our problems at home. American infrastructure, American wages, American industry, domestic citizen jobs. No H-1B visas. We do have talent. Hold people who scam the country and cost us millions and millions of invaders, trillions of dollars, dozens of lives because of a botched withdrawal from Afghanistan. All of the price that was paid for the scam they pulled on this country. Make these people suffer. Hold them accountable. And he didn't. He went into town and he played ball. That's the stone cold truth. And I've said this a million times, and I don't know how else to convey it to you other than this. If you want to remain in your delusion, like a dude who thinks he was born into the wrong gender body, so he cuts his schlong off. If you want to remain in your own delusion like a Democrat, fine, do you, boo, but don't expect the rest of the country to share in your delusion. You are 20% of the country now. Deal with it. Previous MAGA independents, not even they approve of the job. And why would you expect them to? Some of them they still, and we were talking about this last night, many of these people, you have to understand, they view Donald Trump as their last chance, their last hope. And if Trump fails, they're basically going to say, well, then it can't be done. So I'll vote for a leftist like Mamdani. He'll give me what I want at least. And I don't care if he burns shit down around him. I just don't care. By the way, which is why the name of the book is Burn It Down. The link's in the description. Please, for the love of God, buy it, read it. That is the most important conversation to have right now. Huge generational change is coming, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. And right now, the Republican Party is not ready for it. After somehow, just 2 years ago, almost, not even 2 years ago, they had it all in the palm of their hand. They squandered it. Massive shifts among millennials, soon to be the biggest voting group in the country. Gen X, participating in ways they had never participated before. For Trump, squandered. Generation Z, voting for Republicans and for Trump at a rate Republicans would cut their testicles off and sell their soul to Mephistopheles to get. Squandered. All for Israel first. Because that is what happened. Not to beat up on them, that is what happened. And you can see here 52.9%, 53% of independents who say, yes, I did consider myself America first, MAGA. I don't anymore, but I did. 31.2% strongly disapprove. That's more than the 26.9% who still strongly approve. They want him. Most of these people, even though they disapprove of him right now, most of these people would love it if Donald Trump would come back. Because I don't know who this guy is. Voters don't know who this guy is. Listen, every damn special interest group has some kind of influence in Washington. You know, every group is represented by some lobby or some, form of interest. Every foreign nation has some sort of lobby or foreign interest trying to influence Washington. Somehow the voter is the only one who doesn't. And the public opinion pollster, I guess, all but a few, maybe 2, 3 tops, seem to have forgotten that you are that lobby. You are the voice of the voter. What are you doing? The system can't survive if you don't do your job. Anyway, they're not calling themselves previous MAGA because they're happy, folks. They would love it if he came back. But they're not calling themselves previous because they're super stoked with how Donald Trump has behaved and conducted himself as president. Speaking of which, generational, as you can see here, boomers live in their own effing world. Strong approval is highest among boomers, 27.0%. By the way, 49.7% strongly disapprove. So this is another reason, and we're doing generation from now on. And I probably will wind up breaking up millennials into Generation Y1, Generation Y2. We'll call them Millennial Y1, Millennial Y2. Same thing with Boomer, Boomer 1, Boomer 2. You have the Jones, Generation Jones, yeah. Why? Because some of them were old enough to dodge the draft. Not because they're dodging it, but because they are not eligible for I put a graph out explaining this the other day. A lot of people are now, we're doing this in the industry increasingly, breaking boomers up into 2 different groups because it spans such a large period. But also, the oldest of the generation have different characteristics than the younger one. In Generation Jones, which is boomers 2, right? They were just young enough to have been to have missed being drafted for the war. All right, drafted for the war. Okay. And believe me, I mean, it can make a huge impact. And then there's also 2 groups of like social economic class of boomers, which is interesting. But my point is the idea that you get elected by millennials because I'm getting into something here. All right. The idea you would get elected by millennials, 80s babies, mind changing at a rate higher than any other generational cohort. The idea you would get elected because of them doing that and supporting you significantly. Gen Z supporting you at a rate they never support Republican candidates. And Gen X, who also happens to be a huge cohort in the electorate right now. Gen X coming out and participating at levels that we had not seen in many, many years. The idea you would be elected by a coalition that looks like that when you did actually 1 point worse with the boomer and silent generation than you did in 2020, to be elected by that coalition and then to govern for a Hannity boomer, Fox boomer con is ridiculous. It was the dumbest, stupidest, most unwise decision I've ever seen a president make. Overall strategy. It's not even a decision. It's like a strategy. They're obsessed over there with Fox News. That's all they watch. And they're in a huge bubble. And they don't even understand that boomers aren't even loyal to you. But they vote a lot in midterms. Right, and they're getting more Democratic because especially the younger boomers are more Democratic. The draft dodgers are more Democratic. They are not Republican like the older silent and builder generation was so loyally Republican for many, many years. That's not the boomer coalition. They're not at all, especially not women, which I'm going to show you in a second. They will turn on you in a heartbeat. And they're not even particularly Republican to begin with. All of that on top of the fact that they are not the future. Let me just be really blunt. Why would you govern for a dying part of the electorate that didn't even elect you in the first place at the expense of the people who did elect you, who are the future and are going to be the largest generational cohort in the electorate in the very near future? Why would you do that? It makes no mathematical sense. It makes no logical sense. It's retarded. Because they don't vote in midterms, Rich. Get them to vote. You also told me we couldn't get them out anyway last November. But we did, didn't we? That, too, is an artifact of a new system, a broken system, a captured system, which intentionally disaffects people, which intentionally disincentivizes you from voting, which intentionally demotivates you. Especially younger people who don't have shit compared to the boomers. You don't see, without me just blurting it out, which I'm not going to do, I'm not giving away free $1 million advice. You can't see the obvious message to generate enthusiasm among Gen X and down voters in a midterm election. You can't see it. Are you that blind? Are you that stupid? Not only could you have gotten these people out, dare I say, it would have been easy if you would have just done what you said you were going to do. And you talk the language that they want to talk. No, Laura, we don't have any talented people here. There's no talented people. Just yesterday, he's asked about tariffs that could help small businesses, and he mocks them. Why do you always do that? Why do you always bring up these small little businesses? Could you imagine Donald Trump talking about small business, the engine of the U.S. economy, that way in his first administration? No, there is a bitterness about Donald Trump, this administration, and the voters hear it. You care about holding pedophiles accountable? I don't want your support anymore. You don't want me to break my campaign promise and start a new war in the Middle East? Up yours, MIGA, MEGA, whatever it is. Make Iran great again. He's done exactly what Rush Limbaugh warned him not to do. Don't ever do it. Only you can break the bond with your voter. They can never break it, no matter what they do to you. Only you can do it. Well, you did it. Congratulations. You did it. Nobody else. Before I put this on the screen, I just want to say this. Understand that all of the political damage that has been done to Donald Trump and Republicans, the damage that they have suffered, which has been catastrophic, all the political capital that they have squandered, understand, Democrats didn't contribute to that at all. He and Republicans did all of that to themselves. There's been no Democratic attack level that's been really that successful. Sure, they started a narrative with the media on ICE and whatever, but Donald Trump beat himself on that issue. They chose not to implement a few small corrections and changes to how ICE was deporting people. The country still, by majority, favored mass deportations. They caved on that. They told GOP donors, don't worry, we won't go after your hospitality industry. Don't worry, we won't go after your agricultural industry. Don't worry, we're not going to go after your restaurant industry. They did that. Democrats haven't even gotten started yet. Democrats have stacks and stacks and stacks built for cases when they take over the majority to start laying on people. Impeachments. You name it. Dirty pardon shit. Business dealings and conflicts of interests. The Department of Justice being used as a cash register at the antitrust division. Oh my God, they are so ready. And they haven't even started to levy these attacks against Republicans. All of the damage that Donald Trump has inflicted has been a damage he self-inflicted. Has been inflicted on Donald Trump, has been damage that he has inflicted on himself. And that is the sad ass reality. I'm going to show you this newest one first, and then we're going to show you March, because I think it's really the only way I can impress on you how bad what I'm about to show you is. What's behind these numbers? And we haven't even gotten to the generic ballot yet. What we will, because I'm going to show you how even some of his working class base that has stuck with him, they're not voting. They're not going to vote, and some of them are going to vote Democrat. That's just a fact. There will be tons of Trump Ossoff voters. There will be tons of Trump Cooper voters. Watch. There will be tons of Trump Sherrod Brown voters. You watch. Gonna happen. There already is. There will be tons of Trump Plattner voters in Maine. Fucking blew it. Here's Trump's net approval shift from November 2024 to April 2026. And this is very, very important. I'm going to say this again. You will see Harry Enton and you will see all of the pollsters and both parties do it. They put together their talking points and they push apples to oranges comparisons that are extremely misleading. As far as I am concerned, I am basically the only pollster with the credibility to tell you how much Trump has slipped with various demographic groups for two reasons. One, I was the most accurate pollster in 2024. Hands down, nationwide, we were the closest. We edged out Tony and whoever his partner is at the Wall Street Journal. We edged them out by about 1/10 of a percentage point, but we did. And fortuitously, we were asking about retroactive approval when we were polling the election. So for those two reasons, there's nowhere else you can get more credibility than right here in this graph I'm showing you. Other pollsters are going to try to do it too. That's great. You can't compare vote share to approval, which is all they can do because they weren't tracking approval too, like we were. It doesn't matter. He wasn't the president anymore. Retrospective approval rating. All right. And by the way, it's below the chart if you want to read it. So prior to the 2024 U.S. presidential election, respondents were asked retrospectively, do you approve or disapprove of the way Donald Trump handled his job as president? And then following, of course, the inauguration in 2025, the question is, do you approve or disapprove of the way Donald Trump is handling his job as president? By the way, it is true and worth noting that Donald Trump's retrospective approval rating recovered faster than I think any other president we've ever seen. So when presidents leave office, they tend to get more popular, right? Even though they leave office, and typically unpopular. Many of them do. Obama did. Others did. Bill Clinton did. George Bush did. It's a great example. Herbert Walker Bush did. But over many, many years, usually it takes a decade or so, honestly, but people start to look back with nostalgia. And so when they're asked retrospective approval, Gallup did this for many years, they would be asked this. And of course, people would say, hey, you know what? I liked him. He was all right. But they didn't like him at the time, but they like him later on. Trump's retrospective approval rating began to rise a year after he left office. That is unheard of. Unheard of. And then by the time we got to the November 2024 election, which you see to the right, this is a chart that is showing you, basically showing you how it started, where it started from, which is could be right, left, but in this case, it's the right because there's been shifts ever since. I didn't use the arrows. I wanted to use a gradient. In the past, I believe it was for February when we did it, we did use a an arrow plot chart, but in this case, we're using a range chart. Okay, and I think that it gives you a better idea. I mean, I could show you both. Probably wind up asking you local. Most people on locals, you did tell me you like this better. It made more sense to you. I'll have to remove myself in a second so you see that last demographic. But bottom line is, overall, the very top first one at the top of the chart over there, it starts to the right, Sunday, November 3rd, 2024. Donald Trump's approval rating at that time, retrospectively, even though we only had him winning by a little less than 2 points, which he eventually, a little, obviously about a point and a half, he did win that by that. But his retrospective approval rating outpaced his vote share, and he was approved +7. In fact, it was 7.4. So that's what you see over there right now. Right now, his approval rating is what? -17, or overall, it's actually technically 17.3. So that's why you see on the left side, it is a net shift, a net negative shift of -24.7. And that was as of oh crap, I never changed that from March 26th to April 26th. Oh boy, hold on one second. That has to be done. All right, well, yeah, because you'll confuse it. Look, why? Because I duplicated this chart and I didn't. oops, sorry, that's my fault. Before I add the, let's do this first. Yeah, which brings to the generic ballot. All right. You're not going to win in a midterm at all, not even close, guys, with that much. I mean, I know. I like Mark. And I don't want to I don't want to attack Mark. It's not an attack. But very clearly, Mark Penn has an outlier this month. It's very clear. There are multiple things, though, that make my eyebrow raise, which I don't like. And I just don't like it. The Israel question was rewritten, and the wording was atrocious to show support for Israel that doesn't exist. The question, and I'm glad you brought that up in the comment. I should have saved this for comments or the question section, but I do want to bring this up. There is a format, a long-held format for the Israel versus Palestinian question, and it's in a sympathy format for several very good reasons. Instead of support, who do you support, or do you support oppose? Because if you're asking people between whose side are you on, between the Israelis and the Palestinians, you can't just give them those two choices. There are many people who say I'm on neither side. There are many people who say I sympathize with both. So this is why Gallup for decades has always worded that question that way. It's why Pew Research, who also has been tracking it now, not as long as Gallup, they adopted that. Why we adopted that. Why most media polls mirror how Gallup asks it, because it's dishonest to ask it any other way, guys. You're forcing people to make a choice that isn't, you're forcing people to make a choice that is a false choice. Secondly, something Mark did that really disturbed me. He said, who do you, in the Middle East conflict or the Israeli, the conflict in Gaza, who do you support, Israel or Hamas? Hello? That's problematic for multiple reasons. One is you're asking people to choose between a nation state and an organization that they have been told their entire lives in Western media and propaganda is a terrorist organization. And I'm not arguing it's not. The fact of the matter is that's what you're doing, though. Secondly, the question, as it has been asked by media outlets and Gallup for decades, predates Hamas even existing. The correct word is Palestinians. In the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which may be interchanged with in the Middle East conflict, but that's it. That's all the grace you get on that question. Do you sympathize more with Israel, the Palestinians, or the Israelis, the Palestinians, or Israel, Palestine, both, or neither, or both? Not Hamas. And Mark knows better. And that disappointed me. To see him do that disappointed me greatly, because I know that he's smart enough to know, and he's experienced enough to know. He did that on purpose. He did that to skew results, to make favorable results for them. And that's very disappointing. That question was asked, guys, before there was a Hamas. Hamas isn't the only group being removed from Gaza and West Bank. Is it? No. Palestinians are being removed. Palestinians are being killed. Palestinians are starving. Palestinians are being displaced, Muslim and Christian. Let's not pretend dishonestly that Israel is somehow just targeting Hamas for extinction. They're not. That was a disgusting, deceitful wording of a question. That goes against best practices. That goes against the standard for industry standard for a well-known question in this industry. And that is intentional. Mark is too smart. He knows better. That was intentional. Sad. Very, very sad. All right, let's pull this up. Oh, I forgot. I got to do it like that to make sure that the shorts are correct. All right, I wanted to show you this first before we get on to the generic ballot. This is really, really disheartening. This change is change over a month. And this is why I think it's our polling is really set, not to pat myself on the back here, guys, but I do have the record I have. And one of the reasons why I do is because our methodology has guarded against response biases for years. We literally adopted a method that people use now. All right. So, and I don't want to get into it because if they don't, I want them to mess up still. Votecast literally stole our methodology from 2016. That is the AP Votecast. And why? They didn't want to deal with the response biases that Murray and others have dealt with in the Edison research exit polls, which even themselves now have evolved in order to, and have adopted some of ours in order to try to guard against response biases. You may notice those changes are incremental. The largest shift in the change from the month over month change is in the economy and in jobs, where Trump deteriorated another 4.3%. The rest of it, what do you see? Inflation, cost of living, 2.4. Immigration, border security, 0.5. Foreign policy, national security, 0.4. Crime and safety, 2. You know, my point is, you're not going to see these huge numbers because our polling doesn't work like that. Public opinion doesn't work like that. Public opinion moves less dramatically than public polls would suggest it does. Our trend over time is what is so conclusive here. That is what should shock you the most. We're not the ABC Washington Post tracking poll with George Stephanopoulos, which starts with Hillary Clinton plus 14, and within a week it gets all the way down to Hillary Clinton plus 2 or 4. That's not us. Our polling will never do that. It's part of it is in methodology because public opinion doesn't do that. I know you're getting ready to go soon. I just want to peep you before you do. Come here, you. Come here, you. You may think you may want, I hope you don't end up too cold, too hot though. It's not that cold out. It's not that chilly, but you look beautiful, honey. Our daughter has a formal today and we're not dealing with it well. She's going to get them and the girls so they can get ready and get their dresses on and whatever makeup they're going to be allowed, do their hair. And don't get me wrong, I'll enjoy it. I think it's going to be cute. You going to bring some back too? Or, oh no, she goes, are you going to get her eventually or no? Oh, that's so cute. It'll be cute. And they're good. Yeah, because I want pictures. That's what I'm saying. Like, so, okay. Yeah, I mean, they're good kids. They're good girls, you know? But I'm not dealing with my pumpkin umpkin and getting to be a teenager who goes to formals. Like, I'm not dealing well with it. They don't stay little forever. I just remember when she worshiped daddy. She was a daddy's girl. She followed me around. I mean, I couldn't get rid of her. Do you remember? I couldn't get rid of her. And I loved it. Huh? She was my tail. She was. And I loved it. I did, you know? She was just so independent, even though she was my tail. She wasn't a kid that you ever had to, like, worry about being, like, she was like an only child who entertained us. I used to bring her to my office. I still have those cute pictures. The old Big Data Poll, People's Pundit offices in Gainesville. I used to bring her there, and she used to sit behind when we did media interviews. It was even before we had like a bigger show or like a more consistent show. Set up in the green screen for interviews with media, and she would go there and like pretend she was a journalist and whatnot. And by the way, she is very interested in but she was a talented little kid, and I still have videos of her pretending she's me, pretending she's the People's Pundit. It's absolutely adorable. And then nomenclature, guys, it's really adorable because it's like this tiny little girl with a lisp because she had a lisp. I forecast. My latest polling shows Donald Trump is going to win the state of Florida by 1.2%. And he won by 1.4. It was hilarious. She was just making it up. She probably listened to me. She probably heard me, you know? All right, let's go back to this. All right, so here is the point. And like, you know, the bottom line is this is nothing but negative here. Now he's even about to lose immigration, border security, which he did during 1 month when ICE raids were really underwater. well, how ICE raids were being done. The idea of mass deportations was never underwater. It was just how it was being done. The intensity index is a big deal here. Let me say this, and let me say this like as clearly as I possibly can say this. There are now more people who strongly disapprove of Donald Trump than there are in total who approve of the job he's doing. Do you understand what I just said? There are more people who strongly disapprove of Donald Trump than everyone in total who approves of him. The intensity index hit an all-time high, negative 23.5%. By the way, right track, wrong track hit a negative widest high, negative spread high of Trump's term. Biden had worse, but we're getting to the point of Biden now. By the way, the registered voter economic confidence index will be out soon. But yeah, it's not good, guys. It's not good. All right. So the White House focus tracker also hit a new high for two focused on foreign policy. There's right track, wrong track. There's no appetite for war, et cetera, et cetera. So I wanted to show you this before we got into some of the generic ballot stuff, because of course it's hard if the president's unpopular. It's very, very difficult for his party to make the case, right? Democrats were able to do it somewhat because Democrats were being able to identify the significance of the realignment and how it would impact their turnout with their coalition. And Republicans are lost in the sauce. They're effing clueless. They have no idea. Mike Johnson at best understands now, like, well, our voters are hard to get to show up. Like they don't understand why. They don't understand if that's inevitable. I know, because they don't really listen though when I talk, do they? Like you've seen, right? With the exception, you were in that room. With the exception of the vice president, did it appear to you that anyone understood what I was talking about? No. The vice president did. He did. He got it. And then he was like, oh, well, I'll leave that out. I don't want to. I mean, he knew what it meant, and he knew it wasn't good news. He knew exactly what it meant. All right, let's look at the generic ballot overall. Here's the thing. Republicans still trail Donald Trump. Like their vote share trails Donald Trump's popularity. And that's a major problem. This is, again, I will harken back to election night of 24. I told you this was going to happen. No, so as unpopular as Donald Trump can get, Republicans will seemingly always be less popular. It's the exact opposite, again, of what they needed to do. Did you need something or did you lose something?
Did I bring up my crossover body bag upstairs when I came back from the kids?
What are you looking for? Your keys or no makeup?
All of the above. My keys, my wallet.
Did you put it? You put a dress in my office closet. Well, did you put something in? No, I'm saying like, did you put anything else in there? I'm sorry, honey. You mean the cream one, right? It's not in the car? Speaking of which, did that woman's insurance company call? I want my car fixed. Anyway, and that's nothing you could do. I'm just wondering. But notice Republicans start out without leaners, and this is likely voters. Okay, let me explain to you that Republicans legit had 35% vote support among registered voters. So many people who were their people were just like, I'm not voting. And I'm like, well, okay, but this is the registered voter question right now. Can you please pick one? And they were like, yeah, sure, someone else. Actually, it's first, undecided. And then when you're like, well, you have to. What if I made you? Who are you going to pick? Yeah. Okay, someone else. They're pissed. They're pissed. They're disaffected. And 35%, guys. That's all they could get. And the phone, this is something that I was talking about with Jason and Qantas. Like, he's having a hard time reaching some of these people. And I said the same thing. Like, look in the independent vote. I think you'll find it there. That's what we're finding it. But in the phone, where it's a midterm cycle, panel pollsters like Morning Consult and YouGov, and they're going to be polling a bunch of people who there's no chance they're going to vote. It's not, online paneling is not a great idea alone in a midterm cycle. That's all I'm going to say. On the phone, it's even worse for Republicans. So if Democrats even overperform us, it'll be because we needed to weight our phone more, not weight it, but make it more of the sample. All right. We don't have a set percentage of what mode is what in our polling. We never have. Anytime we did that, we noticed that there were issues. There is something that should take precedent over that. Let me just put it this way without giving away any state secrets here. Representation should take precedent over whatever arbitrary standard you as a pollster set for what percentage of each mode should be of the overall sample. Should it be 80% phone, 20% panel, and then 75, 25? Like, there are a lot of pollsters who do that, and I'm telling you it's wrong. That is not the right way to go. But if you lean too much on a panel in a midterm, you're going to blow elections like a bunch of those pollsters I was talking about before, like they did in 22. Some tutored polls. Okay. You remember them? Let's get real. There was another example in 2018. There was literally one poll that dropped a Republican +1. How'd that look on the RCP average? Right. So you really have to make sure you're not setting these arbitrary standards like 75% IVR or 80% IVR, 20% panel. Representation should take precedent, and every pollster would know what I mean by that. All right. So without leaners among likely voters, Republican vote share did creep up among likely 2 points to 37, but Democrats 47.7 to Republicans 37.1. Among those who were certain to vote, I'm going to round here if it's okay with you guys. Certain to vote 51% to 39% Democrat. Likely to vote 37 to 31 Democrat. That's a bit of a change. We have seen some months where Republicans were at least edging them out among those who were likely, saying they were likely. And if you've been with me a while, you know that that's not all that goes into our likely voter model, because self-reported likelihood to vote is not reliable. Not reliable enough that that's all you should be using as a likely voter. Extremely enthusiastic. This is a disaster. 55 to 38. That is very bad. That is damn near Trump over Clinton advantages. That's bad. As a matter of fact, I wonder, and I could go and look right now, what advantage did Trump have over Kamala Harris on enthusiasm? I'd have to go and look it up. By the way, we are working on this map. We have this, like, the way we did the election 2020 public polling project. We were using high charts back then. So when we shifted to Data Wrapper, we moved everything over. And the 2021 is basically done because it's just for an archive purpose. But we really do need to get 24s up just for posterity. I'm just curious, is voter enthusiasm in here? Likelihood to vote is, let me add to the column. I want to compare this. Give me a second, guys. I want to compare this to 2024. All right. So Trump's advantage over Harris was 55.5 to 40.1. So what do Democrats have? 54.6 to 37.7. I mean, so honestly, it's worse. It's worse. It's worse for Republicans now than it was for Kamala Harris in 2024. And while Trump was a little bit higher, he was at 56, Democrats are at 55. Harris was at least breaking 40%. Republicans aren't. Total vote share with leaners, 50 to 39. And again, I'm going to round. Certain to vote, 53 to 41. That's Democrat +12. Likely to vote, 43 to 35. This is a disaster. That's Democrat +8. Extremely enthusiastic, 56 to 38. So among, those with leaners, and did I just compare with leaners? I did. So it is in fact worse for Republicans among extremely enthusiastic than it was for Kamala Harris against Donald Trump. 56 to 38 among those extremely enthusiastic to vote, which, I mean, of course, is a monstrous margin. That's 18 points. It's an absolute disaster. All right. And when you look at the issues, this is the problem. We watched in real time during this war as Republicans lost their lead on inflation, cost of living, economy and jobs, and about to lose their lead on immigration and border security. They never had the lead on healthcare and Obamacare. They did on a corruption and accountability at one point, but I'm talking about recent. First, inflation and cost of living went, and then economy and jobs, which Republicans were holding on to, went from being like, and within 4 days, Democrats blew it open. Foreign policy, national security, which typically, historically, traditionally, is a strong Republican issue, is now Democrat +3. The only silver lining here is that, look, inflation, cost of living, 18% said neither. Economy and jobs, 16% said neither. Healthcare, Obamacare, 16% said neither. Immigration, border security, 15% said neither. Accountability and corruption, 23% said neither. Foreign policy, national security, 15% said neither. It's not with the exception of care that they're at 49%. I mean, that's a problem. With the exception of healthcare, though, what this tells me is that Democrats are simply the alternative to the party in power voters understandably blame for their current situation. So that's it. But I want to read this comment that I did put up in case you guys didn't read it. After nearly a year of clear warning signs and data collection and as many months of political grace, voters have clearly run out of patience with the administration and his party. That is maybe a little bit with the bark on, but well-deserved, and that's what's going on here. Iran is unpopular, 35% approve, 57% disapprove, 21% strongly approve, compared to 47% who strongly disapprove. 4 in 10, blah, 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 blah. Where is it? That's not what I'm looking for. There it is. Nearly 8 in 10, again this month, 76%, say it is important for the U.S. to stay out of foreign wars and military conflicts, which is up from 71% in February. 40% said it was very important. Last July, we found only 25% of voters supported such a move in the Middle East. 25%. With roughly as many, 26%, saying they believe the U.S. should play no role in the region at all. The largest percentage, which was a plurality at 38%, preferred only diplomatic action. 60% say the president has not told them why the hell we're even doing this. Which party do you trust more to avoid war? Which, again, as stated, to keep the U.S. out of foreign wars and military conflicts, has long foreshadowed the popular vote winners, both statewide, national surveys. It was the first clear sign of trouble, by the way, for Hillary Clinton in 2016. It was also the first sign of trouble for Donald Trump, then the incumbent in 2020, in the Big Six Rust Belt poll. And in 24, of course, we've been over this. The results forecasted the winner nationally and all battleground states to include nearly identical margins to the actual vote share in Michigan and Pennsylvania. Now, 42.6% trust the Democratic Party more to keep the U.S. out of foreign wars and military conflicts. Only 28% trust the Republican Party, and nearly as many, like, seriously, guys, neither is going to catch the Republican Party soon. How sad is that? Neither is going to end up catching the Republican Party in this question. No. In February, Democrats had a small 8-point advantage. Can I get a little sugar?
Well, I can.
I know you can. You look beautiful. I love that green. It's one. Is that one piece?
This is one piece, right?
That's awesome. It looks cozy. It looks like a giant, like yeah, like a big sweater, like a cozy sweater. It's like a sweater dress. It's cute. Like it is a sweater dress. Yeah. That looks, man. Hey guys, wouldn't it be cool if we had like one-piece sweater bodysuits? Like, I don't know how you get in it, but you know what I mean? Like, what if, because I like sweaters, what if we had like a one-piece sweater and you'd be able to like get in It's like kind of like get in like this, like pull it over, and then like zip or something, and your legs and everything were just sweaters. Be dope. I don't know how fashionable it would be, but it would really be cozy, right? Oh my God. There. Let me see. Did I change it? Did it change? No, it still says March. Okay. Hold on one second, guys. April 28th. There we go. There we go. Now let me go to publish. I got to republish it. There we go. Okay. So locals, by the way, I don't know why nobody told me on locals it said March, but I did change it now. Or at least I thought I did. What in the Sam hell is going on? Huh. Weird. Yeah. Range. April. This is April 2nd. It should say April 28th. Weird. There we go. Okay, now let me publish it again. And let me refresh this. There we go. All right, it's working. I'll give you guys this chart right now just so you can see it. Yep, Patrick, by the way, I saw your comment on Getter. The RNC is jerking itself off. These people are pathetic. They're pathetic. You know, and like honestly, all that money that's being controlled in the pack by La Civita is wasted. They've been wasting it like crazy. The amount, I mean, think about it, blowing 12% to save John Cornyn is a fucking travesty. I mean, it just is, guys. That's not an appropriate use of the money. And it's all about it's all about whether or not he gets rich off of it. It's not about advancing MAGA. It's not about advancing America first. It's not about it protecting the president, making sure that the president is protected if and when Democrats take over, that he has margins, not only margins, but like bulwarks, like Matt Gaetz level MAGA, where no matter what, they're not going to cave on a conviction vote in the U.S. Senate. We have the Louisiana primary coming up. It looks like Cassidy's cooked. That's great. So what? Right now, Donald Trump's candidate is actually trailing. But if she wins, all you would have done is replaced a, somewhat traditional conservative who got under Donald Trump's skin. And I don't like Cassidy. I don't like him. I don't like him as a dude. And I don't like what he's, many of his positions. So I'm not over here defending Bill Cassidy. So don't get me wrong. But there's no point to spend all that money getting rid of an incumbent if you're just going to replace them with another piece of shit. And in this case, all you're replacing Bill Cassidy with is a neocon, a liberal neocon. Like, the neocons are liberal. You guys need to get this through your head. Mark Levin is no effing conservative. Conservatives don't support mass surveillance. Conservatives don't support censorship. Conservatives don't support the abuse of police state power. Conservatives don't support using police power and military power to shape other countries in our image like we are God, because that is what the core of neoconservatism is. The belief that you can use primacy of U.S. power to bend the world to your will, to shape it in your image. It may sound all very leftist to you because neocons are leftists. Kristol's daddy was a Trotskyite. Bill Kristol is a leftist. They were always all domestic policy left. Right? What made being a war whore, a war hawk, a war whore, what makes that right wing? Democrats started all the wars in the 20th century, ladies and gentlemen. Republicans got out of them every time. Truman starts Korea. Eisenhower's got to get the situation under control. Well, CIA and Johnson kill Kennedy so they can get Vietnam and sell drugs out of the Golden Triangle. Nixon has to get us out. Woodrow Wilson will go back further. World War I. To what? Save the world from democracy. Oh, blow me. To save the Anglo-American supremacist worldview. More like it. Can't have Britain go down when us Anglo-Americans are the supreme rate. Dude, left-wing progressive politicians in the 20th century had that worldview, and they were racist. Woodrow Wilson played the first motion picture in the White House, Birth of Nation. Look it up. By the time we get to Roosevelt, his lesbian wife and he were like palling around with eugenics people. They were racists. Roosevelt didn't want to leave Britain to get clobbered. And by the way, if they're so supreme, why did we have to save their ass all the time? Why did a multicultural, nation, a melting pot nation, have to come and save their ass all the time? They're so damn, it's crazy because Hitler gets this like bad rap where he was the only one who had these views. The Anglo-American worldview was a racist ass worldview. And to save it, we got into 2 world wars. I'm sorry to tell you the alternative yet more true version of the 20th century history. Well, Congress tied my hands. I actually can't get involved. So, hear me out. I think I'm going to put an impossible embargo on the Japanese Empire and force them to attack us. Because that's the only way around that pesky act of Congress that restrains me from starting another world war or joining one at that point. All right. Crisis in U.S. Foreign Policy, please. Michael Hunt, go buy it. Go read it. You can read it while you wait for my book to come out. I'm serious. You'll read the cables yourself. You don't have to take my word for it. You will read the cables yourself. They absolutely lied to the Japanese. They were not negotiating in good faith. They knew that the Japanese were running out of oil and running out of steel. They did it on purpose. They didn't know precisely that it was going to be Pearl Harbor, although one guy argued it was, and he was right. But they did know that they would force them to attack. And the reason why most of them didn't think it would be Pearl Harbor, though it would be somewhere, is because of they didn't know about the torpedoes, the new development, in shallow water torpedoes, like that were able to be dropped by Japanese bombers. All right. So they were thinking, well, how the hell are their subs going to come in the shallow water? Torpedoes need deeper water. But they had like this crazy shorter fin kind of thing. And, the Japanese developed a new torpedo that was shallow water. So that guy, he said they'll figure it out. He thought Pearl Harbor was like sitting duck, the USS Arizona there. They could wipe us. They could wipe that part of the fleet in one attack. And he was right. But Roosevelt knew. He absolutely knew. He didn't say it would not be Pearl Harbor. He knew it would be somewhere. Man, I hate to have to go see the Lord. I'm Franklin Roosevelt, boy. I mean, how you argue it was for the greater good? Good luck with that. I think Gray is joking. I'm gonna start doing comments soon. You're always funny, Gray, because I can't ever tell if you're like not never, but sometimes I can't tell if you're like joking with your comments or not. And I guess you probably are joking at this point, but that's funny. And that is the way it is, though. Like, there's 2 people who think like you need to just support the president no matter what. Listen, wasn't born fucking yesterday. I've been down the trust the plan path, which I never trusted to begin with, even in the first administration, because when you know, like, so the 4D chess stuff is only told by people who really have no access and don't know what's going on. The trust the planners, these are the people who just don't know and they have no access. And in this case now, in this administration, there are some people who are just flatly lying to you that they do know and they just are lying to you. But it is not helpful. Sycophancy, as I've talked about many, many times, is not helpful at all. Especially with a leader like Donald Trump, it's like basically the worst thing that you could do is yes man him to death and make him think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, when in fact he's getting creamed and in the party is getting destroyed, which is what's happening right now, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll put up all the trackers. I think employment tracker's not quite up yet. If you want, I know it's 142. We can peek at the registered voter confidence index, economic confidence index, but it's not going to be good. All right. So I would actually just wait. It'll be out this afternoon after I'm done with the show. It's not terrible. It doesn't look like it's quite, well, I don't know yet. You know what? Give me 1 second, guys. Let's do one. Okay. Oh, I got to get out of here. I'm in the old poll. Right. Public polling project. I'm in 2024. Let's go to 2026. Let's go to April. National, because I have district, states, whatever. Let's go to the national one. Unsaved changes will be lost. That's okay. I put the enthusiasm in the old cross tab from November 2024. Okay, wait. I just went into the hurry up, load up, load up. It's loading up. All right, there we go. There's a new poll. Let's add the weight variable, survey weights. I have to go through and do what we do with the variables, but in the meantime, I just want to check survey questions. Where's the first one? Let's do views on current business expectations, and let's do total family income, okay? All right, the weight is in. Honestly, I got to make sure because positive and negatives reversed here. All right, so 28.3% said that they had a positive rating, gave a positive rating that reflects their perception for current and present business conditions. 34.5% had a negative rating. So that's 62.8. All right. Remember that 62.8. So 28.3 divided by 62.8. That would round it to 1, 45.1. That's not good. It's not, again, I'll show you right now. With Joe Biden, it was worse. I mean, we had months with Joe Biden that fell into the 20s, guys. It was bad. Where are you? Economic confidence. There you are. Let me put up registered voter economic confidence so you can see it. Okay. So there it is. So last quarter, it was the sub indicator was at 49.8. Last quarter, it's going to be 45.1 this quarter. So it is down without a doubt. But if you go back to just October 22nd, the fourth quarter of 2022, you'll see that it was 29.1%. I mean, which I think was an all-time low at that time, or period. It is the all-time low. All right, so 45.1. Now let me look. I'll keep that up so you can see the inflation-related indexes. What's interesting to me. 29.2% give a positive rating to whether or not total family income a positive rating about total family income 6 months from now. 29.2% said positive, and 35.6 said negative. So 64.8. So 29.2 divided by 64.8. It's a relative value index, which is why neutral matters. 45.1. Again, it'll be 45.1%. Compared to last month, which was 51.5. I mean, keep saying last month. Compared to last quarter, which was 51. So it will be down. It will be in negative territory, which is a little bit concerning. I don't know what the other indexes look like yet, so I'm not going to say it. But obviously, it does. This is the potential here that it'll signal inflation. It will signal recession. I'm not sure yet. I don't want to jump ahead. The low for this index looks like May of 2022, and it was 31.6%. So May is, second quarter of 22. Well, now that probably is the survey for the first quarter. Yeah, it is, because it's probably the beginning of May. So yeah, it is, because look, August. All right, so first quarter of 2022 was the worst reading, the lowest reading we've ever had, 31.6. So it will be bad. It'll be negative, but it's not going to be like Biden bad. When it was, Biden, it never really came back up. Look when Donald Trump won the election. Look at that. Look at technically it's January 25 when this came out, but it was the final quarter in 2024. Donald Trump had won the election in November, and we had December. Look at what happened to optimism and confidence. Look at that. You could see the first two of current conditions went up somewhat, 51.2 and 52.4, but the other three indicators are the future index. And it's 67, 68, 64.4. I mean, people were like, Donald Trump's been elected again. Shit's going to get better. And that showed an incredible rebirth in optimism. And now we are where we are. Yeah. So current business conditions, current employment conditions, they make up the current, the present situation index. And then expectations for business conditions 6 months from now is what it is. Expectations for employment, expectations for total family income, they make up the expectations index, right? It's terrible. I don't even know. I don't want to get hung up. Let's get into your questions. I don't want to get hung up here on the depressing, which frankly, let's be real, some of this shit is getting depressing. It just is. If you guys don't mind, I want to check this out. So he says, I am a Gen X male in Wisconsin. Wisconsin won and got a text invite for a poll. The policy questions focused on style support for international aid for malaria and disease for prevention, how it lessens immigration. I was like, WTF. Yeah, they're trying to give a counter argument here because they know that in some parts of the country, including in yours, Wisconsin won's, a decent example of how you have some voters who will kind of be like embarrassed. Oh my God, we must hate brown people. So we're evoking them from the country. And then you obviously have neighboring states where we have the temporary, what is it called? Temporary status. I just did a study on this for somebody. Anyway, you have Haitian, Somali, so this is them trying to give you another argument, which is basically like, look, yes, I support foreign aid, but look, this foreign aid was for malaria. And actually, if we can get malaria under control in some of these third world shitholes, which they'll not call third world shitholes, but if we can get it under control, we're actually going to stop the reason why people want to come to the country to begin with. That is such a load of horse shit, James. It is. Because the fact of the matter is, they're still going to come because they're not coming here to get malaria drugs or to get away from malaria. They're coming here to live off the dole that they can't get. A standard of life, a quality of life on assistance in the United States of America is exponentially better than the quality of life from the shit world country they come from. Not third world, shit world. Fucking Haiti. Tucker's right. You see Tucker the other day? How long have we been giving Haiti money? How long have we been giving Haiti millions and millions and millions of dollars, intervention, support, intelligence support? Has it done any good? Why did we give them the money if we just have to stuff Springfield, Ohio with them anyway and ruin the communities in and around Springfield, Ohio? And I know it did ruin those communities because I just did a study on it. Hopefully my co-author's new book will be out soon and I can talk about it. What I found there was nothing short of heartbreaking. You're either 100% with Trump on war or with Iran. Again, I never can tell whether Gray is being serious or not, but I'm pretty sure. What is Kim? Okay. Mark is laughing at something. And let me just respond to him. On show, but didn't watch the entire episode yet. Yep. I talk to MTG. Not, but we do talk about what's going on. Okay, so this is kind of big. It looks like Barnes can do it. So Monday, let me just say this and I'll say it again before we go. Monday, what are the odds? Will be between 6. It will be from 6 p.m. Eastern time to 8 p.m. I've been talking to you guys about this for a while now. We did, and locals, I'll get you that poll. We did an analysis, viewership analysis, and basically the recommendations, it spans longer than that, but the 6 to 8 hour is a good, it's solid. I think it's solid. We're going to try probably a couple of different things when I just pop on and see how many people can actually get to watch at certain times, but 6 to 8 is prime. It looks like for us. And the reason why I like it is because on nights when we're going to have elections, we can start at 6 and then we can like roll into a 7 o'clock poll close or something, or an exit poll drop. And if we extend the show for extended election coverage, then we can do that. But it would make sense to start at like 6, maybe 7, on some nights. But the way that when the show is during the day, first of all, it showed conclusively that most of our viewers don't watch live. They watch reruns consistently at nighttime. They watch, what the show today, right now. Most people will actually watch between 6 and 9 o'clock tonight. And that kind of was eye-popping to me. And so, of course, the recommendation is go compete with Brett Baer. Nobody watches Brett Baer. Go compete with Brett Baer. In my experience, North Carolina teachers are the best drivers in public parking lots, Mr. Barris. Wouldn't you agree? Okay. For those who don't know what Gray's talking about, this, of course, it was a white woman, smashed into my brand new Jeep Wagoneer, extended, gorgeous, brand new Jeep Wagoneer that I got less than 3 months ago when it was parked in the parking lot in the school when Laura was filling in for a teacher. Now they just have her. They convinced her, and she loves kids, and she missed it. She missed it. I know she did. It sucks without her, and I'm like kind of struggling a little bit on some things. There's no doubt she's a huge asset to me. But they just got her for 3 days a week, half days, but because somebody else is coming in and taking over in the afternoon. But she misses it, especially with special needs kids. And I feel like a dick because I'm like, I'll be honest with you, Gray. I mean, Laura's over there hugging the woman. She's crying. I'm so sorry. And I'm like flipping, I'm not going to front. And I'm like, this damn job isn't even worth the cost. But the truth is, the job's for her mental health. She likes it. And the community needs it. I can't believe how shy we are on teachers. But this woman comes with a brand new expedition, which is it's a bougie expedition too, guys. I mean, all the features, cameras everywhere, driver assist, parking assist, surround camera, everything. And the cop was just like, how on earth did this woman hit you like this? She pulled front first too. And my wife's, where she parked, left like this much away from the line. Like it was a tremendous amount of space. And and not only did she hit it, without hearing the beeps, without hearing the vibration of the steering wheel, like not only does she hit it, but she continues to ride down the quarter panel. What? Invading 80 instead of Iran would have been easier for Trump. Same hemisphere, no regime metopola, might have slowed migration. Hard to fail work. Brother, I knew this guy had a little adventurism in him. I literally created a plan for them to dominate and take control of our entire hemisphere. I kid you not. From Greenland to Latin America and everything in between. All islands and territories in between. You want to conquer shit? Let's conquer shit. Do it in our own hemisphere. Take resources that we need, are worth it, because we're 40 trillion in debt. And here's an important one. Do not risk because the petrodollar is the only thing keeping us from going into default. But whatever you do, don't start a new unpopular war in the Middle East. Israel just got everything they wanted out of this guy. They did. They got everything. He's a sucker. He's a sucker. And you know what? We're all suckers too. I'm sorry. It's true. They're going to get control of the Mideast. We're going to leave with our tail between our legs. They're going to get control of the Middle East on the cheap. They bled American empire so they could become a hegemony. That's called bandwagoning, baiting and bleeding even. They jumped on our bandwagon. You know what? Hold on. Fuck this. Hang on. In between questions, I want to get you something. In between questions, I want to read you guys something. All right. Where is it? Relative share of European wealth. European relative. Oh, that's a list of tables. No. Maps. That's great. Strategies for survival. 138. Thank you. Okay. You ready? Strategy 1. Blackmail. All right. Well, first of all, let me just say this one thing. It is time to consider how great powers go about maximizing their strength of world power. The first task is to lay out specific goals that states pursue in their competition for power. Right? And in this case, he argues the greatest powers strive for hegemony in their region of the world, which of course none of us even argue with anymore. This is true. John Mearsheimer was right. Great powers also aim to be wealthy, in fact, much wealthier than their rivals, because military power has an economic foundation. What does Israel lack? What don't they have? Resources. Furthermore, great powers aspire to have mightiest land forces in their region of the world because armies and their supporting air and naval forces are the core ingredient of military power. Finally, great powers seek nuclear superiority. Although that is an especially difficult goal to achieve. Well, not if you have a stupid fucking superpower who you bought off through a lobby who is willing to fucking throw their whole coalition in the fucking dumpster for you. Here are the strategies that states use to shift the balance of power in their favor or to prevent other states from shifting it against them. 1. War. War is the main strategy states employ to acquire relative power. Here's another one. Blackmail is a more attractive alternative because it relies on the threat of force, not the actual use of force, to produce results. Thus, it is a relatively cost-free strategy. Blackmail is usually difficult to achieve, however, because great powers are likely to fight before they submit to threats from other great powers. Another strategy for gaining power is baiting and bleeding. Bait and bleed, whereby a state tries to weaken its rivals by provoking a long and costly war between them. But this scheme is also difficult to make work. A more promising variant of the strategy is bloodletting, in which a state takes measures to ensure that any war in which an adversary is involved is protracted and deadly. That is what Iran is doing to us right now, in case you haven't noticed. We attempted to blackmail, so did Israel. Didn't work. We're being bloodlet right now. We were baited and bled, and now we're being bloodlet. Balancing and buck passing are the principal strategies that great powers use to prevent aggressors from upsetting the balance of power. Well, with balancing, threatened states, this is NATO, seriously commit themselves to containing their dangerous opponent. In other words, they are willing to shoulder the burden of deterring or fighting, if need be, the aggressor. With buck passing, they try to get another great power to check the aggressor while they remain on the sidelines. Threatened states usually prefer buck passing to balancing, mainly because the buck passer avoids costs and the aggressor. And avoid costs of containing the aggressor in the event of war. And then there's, of course, appeasement and bandwagoning, but they are not particularly useful for dealing with aggressors. Was Iran an aggressor? Both call for conceding power to a rival state, which is a prescription for serious trouble in an anarchic system. With bandwagoning, the threatened state abandons hope of preventing the aggressor from gaining power at its expense and instead joins forces with its dangerous foe to get at least some small portion of the spoils in war. Appeasement is a more ambitious strategy. The appeaser aims to modify the behavior of the aggressor by conceding it power in the hope that this gesture will make the aggressor feel more secure, thus dampening or eliminating its motive for aggression. Although appeasement and bandwagoning are ineffective and dangerous strategies because they allow the balance of power to shift against the threatened state, I discussed some special circumstances where it may make sense for a state to concede power to another state. And by the way, that plays off of a lot of E.H. Carr, The 20 Years Crisis, also a phenomenal seminal work that you need to read. Oh, Rich, did you become an international relations expert? Actually, I do have fucking degree in international relations because I got bored and I went through a fucking State Department program. I got bored. All right? Fucking idiots. We are currently the victims of this tied-in strategy Israel has used that includes buck passing, bandwagoning, and a little bit of bloodletting, almost baiting and bleeding. So basically, those are strategies an enemy would use against you. An enemy. Now, bandwagoning and butt passing, that's different. So they're trying to jump on your bandwagon, or they're trying to pass the buck, make you really shoulder the costly burden to achieve their goals. And their goal is very clear. It's the pursuit of hegemony, and it's the pursuit of more relative power in their sphere of influence or their region. So, of course, that's what hegemony is. So you can achieve hegemony. We're a fucking cuck. We're a cucked superpower. We're exactly what Donald Trump ran against. You're an idiot, George Bush. You let us get cucked, and we didn't even get the oil. Our boys died. Our treasure was burned, lit on fire. The peace dividend squandered for nothing. You cucked us, George Bush. You're an idiot. Unbelievable. Thank you, Donald Trump. Why? So Miriam Adelson could give you $20 million to take out Thomas Massie because your fucking feelings are hurt? Poor you. Boo fucking who, bro? I'm so over it. Boo fucking who? I'm not even a fan of Massie, as I think you guys all know. I have now gotten to know him, and he's a nice guy. I was not a fan of his. I thought he was a bit of a self-aggrandizer and inconsistent with certain things. It bothered me. You know, it's like these principled libertarians do bother me sometimes a little bit. But he is a nice guy. Is he a bit of a troublemaker? Sure, but where does he keep making trouble? Right, when it comes to actually doing whatever you say you were going to do when you ran the fucking campaign to begin with. Regardless, it doesn't matter how I feel about Thomas Massie or even you feel about Thomas Massie. If you are being smart, strategic, objective focused, you could only conclude it is basically the dumbest thing on planet Earth to go after Thomas Massie right now. You're acting like you're popular or something, bro. You're not popular. You can't afford to lose anybody else. Let alone a guy, even though he represents a district, one district, Kentucky 4 in Kentucky, he is a nationally recognized figure and representative of a very important part of the Trump coalition with overlapping demographic groups that you need. And you want to replace him with a fake MAGA, grifter, neocon, never Trumper, loser like Ed Galrin. You're retarded. That's low IQ. You want to lose anybody else? This isn't good enough for you? We haven't done enough damage? You want to send millennial men 30 points in the other fucking direction? It's stupid. It's petty. It's stupid. It's selfish. And it's crooked. Who's making money off that PAC? It is unfathomable for anybody to receive $7 million from AIPAC running for a member of Congress. By the way, it's entirely what Tucker's episode was about yesterday. That, like, notice all of these people that are the people who are all proponents of this war also happen to be they're liberals. They're never Trumpers and liberals and not MAGA. Like, you can't serve two masters. He's right. You can't serve two men. You're either loyal to the United States of America. You're either loyal to your coalition. You're either loyal to your voter, or you're not. Or you're not. You're loyal to Mary Adelson and fucking a foreign nation. Like that dude, that's it. There is no other alternative. You can't be one. You can't be both. You can't be, because our interests don't align. Clearly. Israel's interest was not in our interest, for the very sheer fact that if we got into this war, we would obliterate our coalition. That's what we did. Congratulations. That's what we did. I don't know why. I mean, I'm trying to show you this. I can't believe this. And I don't even know if this is updated, but my God, guys, my God, you cannot. Hold on. I want to, there we go. Going APAC. You think guys think I'm kidding? This is unheard of. This number, come on now, pop in here. That, whoop, pull that down, that back up. That is unheard of. For a congressional race in a district as inexpensive as Kentucky 4, they're going to own this. They're going to own this fucking clown forever. And he'll be very hard to get rid of. You're going to lose all of the Maha moms. You're going to lose all of the libertarian wing. No, it's just 2 points. It's just 4 points. It's just 6 points. It's just, that's 12%. Can you afford that right now? It's retarded, man. And the race is close, and I'm sure it's closer since we polled. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. We're going to poll it again soon. By the way, the public polling project is up for the last final poll in Kentucky 4. Don't forget, if you want to contribute to it, please do. But he has these boomers locked into his pocket, and if Massey doesn't get out the younger people, he could lose. He could. And then you're going to get Miriam Adelson's bitch, BB's bitch. That's what you're going to get. And there's boomers who I'm trying to show you in our polling, they live in another world. They live in another world. And they don't have the priorities that the rest of the country has. They're not even unified themselves. So you're actually catering to not only a dying and yesteryear coalition, but you're catering to like 40% of that demographic group. Not even, because they're not even a majority for you. And you're doing it at the expense of the future. I mean, this is beyond retarded. Like, it's a combination. I was talking with somebody yesterday. I mean, there's no way you can explain some of these moves from Trump and the administration without coming to some very sad and dark conclusions. And it's like, okay, you want to go down, bro? Do you? You want to burn everything down with you? Mark Mitchell ransom fund. Why was Mark muzzled, Rich? Are the GOP concerned about truth and honesty? Wasn't that what Trump promised? No more lies. Mark was muzzled because you just can't have anybody backing up what I'm saying right now. All right. And just simple as can be. All right. You're going to, I don't want to say it yet, but all will, Rocket Boy, I promise you, all will be revealed. All will be revealed. And actually it will be really soon. And is the GOP? No, they're fucking criminals. They're con men. The GOP is like, and I'm not saying like, oh, well, don't, Democrats are better. Like, don't get me mixed up. Now, in a way, Democrats are better with one thing. They're true to themselves. And they fight. They play to win. They fight to win. They fight to kill. They go for the jugular. They are not afraid of exercising their power to achieve their voters' ends. And they're not corrupted, with the exception of AIPAC and the Israel lobby with some of their party, because it is still in the Democratic Party. Hakeem Jeffries is a Zionist. And he's called Zionist. Zionist means you take money from AIPAC and Israel's people. Like that's what Zionist means. Like, you're paid to push an ideology. Come on. It's bullshit. It's such a dishonest. The whole thing has always been dishonest. But there is an element of the Democratic Party that certainly is still like that. Their voters hate it. But that's basically the only disconnect between the Democratic Party and their voters and their donors and their voters. It is. The rest of it, they're in lockstep. Like, do you ever see Democrats screw their own on immigration? Do you ever see that? No way. No way. You never catch it. I'm starting to agree with Nick F. when he went on Alex Jones. Maybe Democrats need to flood in and slow Sidman down. Be okay. Oh, I'm black and I'm agreeing with him. Gas hit 4 in my city in Alabama. This is terrible. I'm sorry to hear that, Stephen. And you know what else? I mean, I talk to guys like you all the time. I don't know how old you are, but I mean, I'm talking to, black Trump voters all the time. And they're just like, amazingly, what's pretty incredible is, yes, they're negative. But black overall votes on approval swung negative 17.4. That's not awful. Harry Enton was doing this thing because, of course, he's trying to dupe Trump voters as always and make it sound better than it is. But it is true that black Trump supporters are fairly resistant. Hi, gorgeous. But yeah, it's hard to defend your vote with your family, especially older members of your family who still very much live in the civil rights mindset, the civil rights era mindset. And I mean, again, I just don't know how many more ways I could put it. It's why I wrote a book about it. I don't know how many more ways I can possibly put it. The white boomer days are over. They just don't know it yet, and they won't let it go. And if Republicans don't react and move on, it's not going to be good. I tend to think, Stephen, that black Trump supporters are not going to vote in 2026. I don't think they are. I don't. And I know because, I mean, if we go to the crosstabs, where's my crosstabs? Let me pull them up. Black voters, even black Trump voters, are consistently less likely to say that they're going to vote. Consistent. I mean, it's all the time. Now, black Democrats are voting, but not black Trump voters. In fact, I should put together a table like that. Hey, gorgeous. Trying to stay away from the camera. Tell my pumpkin umpkin, and I want to hug and kiss when I'm done. Look at this. Massey's Challenger. You did that?
Yeah, they
Really?
did good.
Nah,
Aren't they cute?
you did do good.
Look, they match my nails.
Oh, you saved me money?
Yeah,
You saved me money? I mean, of course, you do you, but you did good.
I know.
You
but
did
I
good.
just, I was.
They're pretty.
It's my way to express art sometimes that I need to. Get.
Is she excited? Is she? Better not be any guys coming near my girl
they're
right
already-
there. Beat them down.
Beat him up. Beat him up, Richie.
I'm coming down. I mean, like one like hammer punch in the top of that little bastard's head. Bang! Right into the ground.
It's over.
Better tell him your dad's a murderer. Did time in prison. That's right. I was facing capital offense. That's right. I almost went in the Florida chair. Of the 11 world wars. She's such an idiot, man. World War III, revenge, axis, the evil, the most interesting. The 11, for people who don't know. Ilhan Omar, I think I played it the other day when someone brought it up. What an idiot. Could you imagine if a Republican did that, Shock? Could you imagine if a Republican said that? We'd still be hearing about it right now. It would still be on all the news channels, referred to in all of the papers and online pieces. Like, it would be humiliation after humiliation after humiliation. And they would never let it go. Meanwhile, you have Barack Obama doesn't know there are 50 states. Ilhan Omar doesn't know there were only 2 world wars. Like, they're just stupid people who the media acts like they're smart and so brilliant. Ilhan Omar is not even mediocre at best. She is the daughter of a married the brother thing. No, but she's the daughter of a death squad colonel. And like, we just pretend like she's not. He was a genocidal maniac. You don't rise to the ranks, through the ranks in militaries like that by being like some pogue. You don't do it. That's not how you fly up the ranks of military. You do so by following orders in combat positions. The guy was killing. The guy's a killer of women and children, bro. Like, this is crazy. That's who birthed. That's who's the father of Ilhan Omar. Imagine if a Republican congressman or a woman was the son or daughter of a death squad dealer. The double standard is just horrible. But again, this is, I think, why. I mean, we can bring up all these double standards. It really doesn't matter. You know, Trump's to blame for himself, and Republicans are to blame for their own stuff. They are. They know what environment we live in. And I can't stand when people are like, well, you know, Rich, it's not fair because they do this and they do that. It's like, fair? You're really bitching to me about fairness right now? You know how the world works. You can't do this because you know media will treat you differently than they'll treat a Democratic president or vice president or cabinet member or congressman, woman or senator. Like, and then they always have that whiny bull with me. They always, or a judge. Man, there are examples. We have examples, endless examples. Like, oh, but it's not fair. I shouldn't have to. Okay, bro. If you're focused on the unfairness of it instead of what you did wrong. I thought we fixed Haiti when Clinton sent me there in 1994. Yeah, Clinton's pocketed that money, bro. James, they took that money. That's funny, though. I mean, that's what I'm talking about, James. Like, how much money are we going to give these people only to have to take in mass amounts of their population anyway? We are a cucked nation, man. And Trump was supposed to not do that to us. He was supposed to not let that happen to us. That's the entire point of Donald Trump even running and being elected. Otherwise, never would a reality TV star be able to win the presidency as a felon. It's because he promised to change this and address this and fight this, not bend over and take it. Like every other person. Then he's no different. Actually, it's worse because, yeah, it's worse. It is. Watch Daniel Davis today with Chris Martinson when you have time. SPR is getting pumped down. Net importer, not exporter. We haven't seen expensive yet. I agree. What time is that, Rocket Boy? I don't watch him that. I know Chris, but I don't watch it that frequently, but I agree with you, and I think it's already too late. I think famine is going to happen largely in Africa. Tucker is right. Between the fertilizer and the gas, I mean, we're beyond the point of preventing famine and death. It's sad. I mean, so the gas prices for us going to $6 is like nothing compared to what other people are going to deal with because of the strait being closed like this. Which, by the way, everybody told him was going to happen. He did not listen. He just simply did not listen. Just pretend like he had some 4D chess plan is ludicrous. And then he fired the guy. I mean, the GOP is the party of mandatory Shabbat dinners. Oh, man. Shabbat shalom. Oh, my God. You want to see something funny in Joiner? Look up the architect for the ballroom. That's all I'm saying. By the way, it looks like, and I like him, but it doesn't look like he's going to be Attorney General. Pick up and open that closet, man. Find shit under everything. What's what Lee Zeldin said. He lied under oath. Lee Zeldin lied to Congress. He's not getting nominated. He's not getting confirmed now. War for Israel or no, U.S. Jews will walk into the voting booth and vote 75% Democrat, 80% Democrat. Unreal. Trump killed the coalition for that demographic. I mean, Tim, this is like regardless. Right. Exactly, my guy. Exactly. Go look at our polling right now. They don't even support this war. I don't know what he's doing. They're 2.5% of the population, and they're the minority of that 2.5%. That's what he did this for. That's what he did this for. No, you know what it comes down to, though? It's another city named after him, another street named after, but it comes down to the explanation is really darker than that. It is. It's dark, and that's the sad thing. The explanation is darker. There's no way for it to make sense unless you understand what Trump got out of this, and what Trump's getting and his family is getting. Do you notice the new company the boys took a 30% share in yesterday, just yesterday or 2 days ago? Hold on, I'll look at it right now. By the way, new poll today, Washington Post, ABC, 61% of Americans say Iran was a mistake. It's about exactly the same we have, only we have 75% who say that it's time to turn back. David, where is the headline? What was the latest company they took a stake in, David? I know I know you know this. No, that it was something else, like a mine sweeping company or something. I mean, it's disgusting. It's just disgusting. If Hunter Biden got $50K a year from Burisma and the right lost their minds, guys, Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Vilmonaire struggle with the karma of enabling global hunger. You imagine having that on your life review? Oh my God. Lord, welcome me into the kingdom. Hold up, bro. Roll the tape. Roll the tape. And you did this for why? So your son-in-law can become a billionaire. You can have a place to flee when the Democrats come back for you. For Bibi, because he flattered you and told you you'd be the greatest ruler since Cyrus the Great. Dude, it's honestly, it's humiliating. It really is. Here I have a approval rating for Donald Trump by religious group. You will notice he is in the 30s with Jews and 61% disapprove. If you go down to the war on Iran, all right. First of all, this is hilarious. The Palestinian conflict, they're not even positive with that. They're not. He can't even get to 40%. And 56 or 59, 55% disapprove. The situation in Venezuela, 33% approve, 60% disapprove. The situation in Iran, 36% approve, 61% disapprove. I mean, it's pathetic. This is what he did this for. I mean, the truth is, they don't speak for Jewish people. And here's the generic ballot. 28%. Bro, 29. Sorry. Republicans are currently winning 29% of the Jewish vote. Suckers! 60% Democratic, 57 as of right now. But with leaners, 60-30. Suckers! You losers. You deserve it. Dumb suckers. What is that? Yeah, all for a country that celebrates when American airplanes go down. Yep. Huzzah. Let's go to locals. A GIF I made to add to the ransom fund. Dude, get out of here. I got to show this on the screen, number one, and then I got to show it to him. Oh my God, that's hilarious. You guys remember, what's that? Finding Nemo, right? That's the Finding Nemo girl, right? Isn't that the Finding Nemo girl? I think it is. Let me take. Can you look, Laura? This is the Finding Nemo girl, the crazy one who kills little fishes. Tap. Mark, where are you, Mark? Where are you? I want to play with the Mark fishy. Oh my God. Oh, Mr. President, let me play with the Mark fishy. Oh my God, that's hilarious. After the show, found good meme video. Am I going to click on this and get some porno thing, dude? I hope not. Let's go. 46 seconds. Trump planning the next attack on the Strait of Hormuz behind Pete's back. Oh, no. We're saving this for not me watching it after. I'm going to play it after in a second when I'm done with these. In case you missed, offline tip. Oh, thank you. Oh, my God. I wish I could share that meme, but of course, my children might watch this show. So gag balls aside, I will send this to my wife, though, who's going to laugh her booty off. Oh, I can't do it like that? What the heck? Oh, because it goes back and forth. Okay, open a new window. Oh, if you're going to see, then I don't have to take it like that.
Okay. Oh, my word. That sounds about right.
Cucked on Sue. And the balls in his mouth. Oh, my God. I think it is time to poll the big question. Do you support the impeachment and removal of Donald Trump? It is time. It is. You're right.
But we got to see.
It is, though. I mean, it is. I think Ryan's right. I think Ryan's right. I thought about it this time, Ryan. Be honest with you, man. Maybe I wasn't. Because I have seen others do it, and I know others are doing it privately. I don't want to be that guy, and I wasn't ready to see the answer personally. Me, maybe. I know the answer. It's going to come back like 55%. Yes. Maybe 52. Maybe it'll be like 42-50. Yes, +8, something like that. It could be worse. How about Trump 401k forcing the sale of treasuries to fund retirement accounts Treasury can borrow from? Yeah, man. I didn't get my kids the Trump accounts. I didn't. And I know Cernovich was like, dude, you got to get these accounts. I hear you, Mike. I hear you loud and clear, bro. I think I'll just take care of my kids on my own. I just don't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think it's, I don't feel like I'm ready for him, Oh, you're talking about the ancient kingdom, right? Edom? Is that what you're talking about? That could be that could be a sideshow talking about the history of this stuff. And until Americans understand Edom, they won't understand. Yeah, I mean, we could do like sideshows with this stuff. I'm serious. We're going to wind up reading the Israel Lobby in the book club. We're almost done with A Demon of Our Own Design, which I actually thought maybe I didn't pick a prescient book, but I clearly did, because I do think we're going to be hit with a pretty bad financial situation soon. So yeah. Let me just go, and I'll mute it as fast as I can. Let me go to, okay. Oops, there it is. Just want to make sure I didn't miss Rumble Rants, which I did. K-Cap, 1, 2, 3, 4. Follow up on the last show. The Instagram Reels of Erica started before the Candace Grift began. And yes, male 26. We met at Amfest by the Rav set. This is just a burner, as is Philly Patriots on X. Oh, okay. I got you. All right. We met by the Rav set. We take a picture? We didn't take a picture? I mean, you probably don't want to share that picture with everybody. I get it. But if we did. But cool, man. Yeah, and I do know what you're talking about, by the way. The Instagram Reels of Erica started before. Listen, I think there's just, and I always have wanted to be, of course I want to support Charlie's wife. Of course I do. I would hope if the roles were reversed, he would support mine, but mine wouldn't want to be public. She wouldn't. I don't think so. Especially not if something happened to me, because she's always concerned now. Like, she's like, one of us can't be recognizable. One of us has to be able to go through the grocery store. One of us has to be able to, walk with our kids and not be like, I go to church, guys. It happens to church, and that's fine. I don't care. But like, I understand what Laura's talking about. My daughter doesn't like it actually at all. I don't know why. My son thinks it's cool. My daughter is like, ugh. She's such a tween. She's not a tween anymore. What am I talking about? Oh my God. I keep trying to regress her age in my mind. I keep trying to make her younger than she is. And it's sad. My My pumpkin umpkinin. My badoozles. My ratatoozles. Remember that? Stinky piggy. Stinky piggies. I'm getting old. I'm old. It's over for me. Those days are over. God bless Paul and Mary Helen. I think Paul's older than me, right? Yep. God bless him. I just can't. I wouldn't have the time to dedicate to another kid, and I would feel really, really bad, so it is what it is. All right. Now that I fixed this, by the way, I mean, I just really think this chart is like so important to look at, but I did fix it, locals. If you click on the link now, you'll see I had put up images, but I should take them down now because that date is wrong on the top left. The title is right, but the top left date was wrong. And now it's here, it's up. So if you click on the link, you'll see this. All right. Oop, there it is. See, it looks fine now in the view, but then every time I go to do it on Instagram, it don't look right. It's weird. I don't get it. It does if I put it in this format. Then it converts perfectly fine. All right. I think I got through everything. Let's look at the... let's get rid of this. And let's take a look at the meme that was shared to us. Oh, I mean, the truth is, Trump is losing the meme more badly. And he used to have his own little meme trolls. And beyond like that one that has like its own little like thing, its own clique, which I won't even acknowledge anymore. See, that's what I'm talking about. That person's not like an honest broker. That's just a propagandist. And if I gave you guys the lowdown on that dude, you would just laugh your asses off. I've told like multiple journalists because they're like, oh, what do you think about this guy attacking you? I'm like, I think that guy started as a used car salesman, then became a fake life coach, wrote a book that didn't sell, and ran for Congress, got his ass kicked, grifted money off of Bill Mitchell's audience, took all of the money he raised for Congress, didn't even get on the ballot. What happened to that money? Where'd that money go? I guess it disappeared with Bill Mitchell's rent fund, with Bill Mitchell's move to Miami fund. No, move to D.C. fund. That's what it was. Remember that? I'm going to move to D.C. Donate to me. And the guy would make like 15 grand in donations a month. And then he's like, I need extra donations this month. I'm moving to D.C. to be closer to Trump. He needs my help. The show's coming up. Then he disappears. All the money's gone. He reemerges in Miami in this this condo where he's constantly messaging. I understand both sides, and like trying to, just basically have like, the good life, like live the good life, and I know one woman specifically who was very, very bad too. And because she told me, and I'm like, well, should probably tell your boyfriend. Anyway, like what happened to the studio? Where's the studio? Nope. I used it to buy an apartment in Miami. Okay. And then he goes like, well, as it turns out, it was just too expensive to move to DC, guys, but thanks for the money. He fucking conned you. He conned you. And he's got this co-host who fake runs for Congress against an almost impossible to beat incumbent, basically is an impossible to beat incumbent, who's MAGA anyway, doesn't even get on the ballot. Where's the money? I was talking to somebody about that, and he was, well, I won't say it because like, he's just funny, man. All right, let's watch this meme. Let's do it. Because, I mean, right now he's getting destroyed by the memers. And there's a reason for that. Memes are the best when they're true. Oh, my God. Oh, my God, Laura. Pee Pete Herman. Pete. What the hell is this?
What are you doing in here without me, Donald? I was just nothing And I will strike down upon thee with great vengeance and furious anger those who attempt to capture and destroy
Melania.
my brother.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is just humiliating. Honestly, Iran is really good at it too. Like, and then you have all of these guys, like I'm looking at who did this. And like, clearly, I mean, I'm going to thumb up, but I think it's funny. Does he have any more? I bet he does. I mean, the fact is, like, these guys are good at this. And oh no, Schoolhouse Rock, the Epstein files. Wait a minute. Stop this. Hold on. 1 second. Oh, hold on. You will like this. You will like this. Where did you find this guy, bro? Hold on. Hold on.
Redacted, black it out, hide what it's all about.
Oh my God.
I'm the files, the Epstein file sitting here in a dusty old file.
Oh
The
my
court
God.
gave an order, the law gave a command, but the people in charge have a different plan. This track from the files occupy U.S. cities. Wars, terror, the truth, Greenland, Venezuela, and the Strait of Hormuz. I'm the files, the lonely old file, and I've been waiting here quite a while.
Oh my
But the
God.
DOJ says no, they won't let the truth flow. Redacted, black it out, hide what it's all about. Keep the names out of sight, lock the truth up real tight. Redacted, black it out. Now look,
Oh my
at
God.
this act, the Transparency Act is a fact. The Senate said show us, the House said let us see, but the lawyers are busy as busy can be. They snip, they tuck, they don't give a lucky duck. But the DOJ says no, they won't let the truth flow. Redacted, black it out, hide what it's all about.
Oh my God, guys. I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I'm going to end it by saying what I said in the beginning, which is that you can't really fight these narratives anymore with another narrative. You can't. You've lost. You have lost the argument. You've lost the plot. You have. I mean, it's too late. You have to fight it with actions. You have to show and demonstrate that you're not the character that they have made you into, or you have made yourself into, frankly. You got to come back. I don't know what to say. I mean, yeah. Honestly, Tim, again, I think we probably should do an episode on this because I mean, this is probably something we can go and find research data on, honestly. I mean, he's saying the 29% of that I showed before, religious Jews that support Trump, they adhere to the doctrine that Edom must be destroyed, and Edom is the U.S. and Europe. And there is this, I mean, that doesn't speak for all Jews, of course, but there is this group that has made themselves like a partner of the evangelicals. And, it's an entire side of it Americans never hear about, including those who have been evangelical. They don't know. They don't know that, Tim. They think they're friends. Like their friendship is built on money that has flowed to super churches. That's it. You can trace this money. We've done that. We have done a show on the history of Zionism in America. It was not popular at all. Christian Zionism wasn't a thing. It was heresy until the late 70s, early 80s, and certainly Ronald Reagan's kind of like conversion to Christian Zionism made it a bedrock within the Republican Party, which was then sealed with 9/11. And that was it. But it was not, I mean, John McCain himself referred to it as heresy. So, I mean, it was not what they presented to be until recent history, and it was recent history written by a very small group of people. So I don't object to doing another show like that if I can find data, of course, to tell the story. Because Barnes and I, 80 years of data we went through on the public's views towards Israel, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, whether or not it was part of their doctrine, all of that. I mean, you can go back and watch that episode. It was somebody brought it up on X. It might have been Chunkster. Somebody brought it up on X not long ago. It was last week, maybe, saying, Barnes and Barris did this like a year ago. Nobody should be surprised that it's now not being adhered to by new generations, because those new generations have absolutely no connection with the entities that made this a thing, that mainstreamed it. And I still would argue it's probably not even, it's not mainstream because it never achieved majority support in this country. I'm not even sure it ever achieved majority support in the Republican Party, to be honest with you. All right. With that in mind, we have come to the end of the line. All right. I'm going to go watch my daughter get ready and enjoy the moment as the dad and do the registered voter economic confidence index in between, which will be out soon. It'll be updated, of course, on the website, but you'll see me put it out on Truth. Locals, of course, you'll get it first, or at least you'll know when it's up first. I don't expect it's going to be horrible, guys, but it's not going to be good. It will be negative. I just don't think we're looking at 2022 levels. We're not, at least on the first and last sub indicators, because I already did that and calculated that live. The only thing to do is the other three, just so people understand if they don't know. The current situation index is the average of the first two, and the future index is the average of the final three indicators, and the registered voter economic confidence index overall is an average of all five together and is a relative value index, right? Neutral does matter. How many people chose neutral does matter. It's not just about how many people chose positive or negative outlooks, right? And if you want, you can go to it on Big Data Poll. You can go down and great detail about how it's calculated, why it's calculated that way, what color indicates what, how it's done, I literally do the order of operations. Remember the order of operations in school? PEMDAS, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Do not forget, otherwise you will screw it up. All right. PEMDAS, guys, PEMDAS, old school math. Professor Barris at work here. All right, let's get ready to get on out of here. All right. Don't forget, if you like the videos, to like them and to share them far and wide. The best place to follow me is right here. It's on Locals, of course, peoplespundit.locals.com, peoplespundit.locals.com, but you should definitely follow me on X and Instagram at peoples_pundit. Definitely on Instagram, where I have a pathetic following. All right. 352,000 followers on X, and my Instagram blows. All right. We got to fix this. We got to fix it. The link to the book, Burn It Down, baby, is in the description below. Do not forget to go get your copy of Burn It Down. Listen, it does come out. I wish it came out a little bit earlier. I do. But it is, we were able to get it out as fast as we were able to get it out. That's like pretty quick. It is a very important argument. Like I would not have written it. I would not have done it if it wasn't that important. It comes out September 21st, but pre-orders are important because it's like banking early vote, right? We want as many pre-order sales as we can so that when it is available, like officially available, they all count retroactively. And it says release date is 2022. Several people have a delivery date for the 21st. I don't know why that is, but you do you 21st, 22nd. It'll be before the midterms. And I really hope that everybody takes this argument to heart and understands this will happen quickly. I mean, I can see it now. I don't want to live through this. I really don't want to live through watching this happen and people not understand, like, what's going on? How did this happen? And then, unfortunately, what will be the result of that? So there's only two paths this country is going to take. You're either going to get real MAGA, or you're going to get Mamdani. It's MAGA or Mamdani. There's no going back. All right. Mark Levin lives in a delusion. Dude's ticker is that's dual meaning. The dude is on borrowed time. All right. Ben Shapiro's not losing subscribers for nothing. There's no audience there. There's no constituency there. By the way, did you guys see Tucker's audience? Oh my God. Tim Pool, hat tip to him. I mean, in response to him, he said, I don't think people understand the magnitude of this reporting. Tucker has just shattered every viewer record for podcasting 5 times over. He's currently 7 times bigger than Joe Rogan on YouTube and 20 times bigger per episode across all platforms. 20 times bigger. That's insane, guys. You got to understand, too, that Joe Rogan doesn't he doesn't stream everywhere like Tucker does. So in many ways, once you get known for like Spotify and you got to deal with Spotify and that's where you stream, I don't say it's easy, but like, you know what your viewership is. It's easier to track your viewership. So the fact that Tucker has audience sizes that big across that many platforms is crazy. Crazy. At his peak, this makes Tucker 5 times bigger, as Tim Pool pointed out, than Joe Rogan at the peak of Joe Rogan's popularity. That is insane. That's a huge audience. And I'm not really surprised. I bet you, these fake ass Reuters polls, the people they had up higher than Tucker as, more audience and more, it's ridiculous. They're majority unknowns. Like Sean Hannity, right? He's known by nobody outside of the Fox Boomer audience. His name recognition is not high. Mark Levin, majority of Republicans don't even know who Mark Levin is anymore. You guys think I'm kidding? I'm not. It's unbelievable. Tucker, Joe Rogan, and Charlie Kirk were the most popular people on the right. But the thing with Tucker is, since the Iran war, which maybe we should do this again, since the Iran war, Tucker, no doubt, is attracting all of those independents that are disaffected and the independents that now say, yeah, you know what? I was previously MAGA. Guys, that's a lot of people. It sure as hell is a lot more people than the ones who still strongly support Donald Trump. It's not even close. Not even close. And I know that's crazy to say out loud. It is. But it tells you directionally where the country is going. That book is filled with data. The link's in the description. Burn It Down is in the description. It's filled with data, filled with exclusive data, which we do then compare to other polls who have long trends for stuff, which, I'm not very subtle in saying that I trust my own data more, and you should too. And I repeatedly refer to the fact that we are the most accurate benchmark across multiple election cycles now. So, the fact that they're even close to me says, good for them, but whatever minor differences we think we discover in our data compared to other people, because of that track record, it's much more likely that we're leading something, that we're identifying something that is not known widely to others now, but by the time we get to said point, it will be, because that has been the pattern. All right. And what else? Burn it down, like and share, follow on the gram, follow on X. And I think that's just about it. Other than, have a great weekend and keep your eyes to social media, because I'll be dripping stuff more. There's more stuff to come here. Of course, share the Kentucky for Public Polling Project. And if you have contributed, of course, thank you so much for that. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Don't drive yourself crazy. It is what it is. All we can do is pray for a change here. That's, I'm not... God helps those who help themselves, in my book. Make a change. Make a change. You could pray for it all day, but God helps those who help themselves. He's not going to save us because we're stupid and we don't want to listen. And we want to just clap like a bunch of you-know-whats, like idiots. Actually, I guess I can say it. What did I say? It's wrong if it's seal clappers. You have to say clapping seals. Oh, Laura, that may be the best idea you ever had. All right. So with that in mind, I'm out. I'll see you guys a little later. And if I forgot anything, I'll be sure to let you know. I feel like I am, but I guess I'm not. Go check out the thing with the conversation I had with Chunkster last night. That was fun. Go check that out. It's on my locals. It's on my Twitter feed. We had like a 3-hour conversation. It was cool about various different things. And Mike Benz came. That was neat. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. All the best. As always, none but love for you.